What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the fundamentals for fat loss. Plain and simple. The fundamentals, the basics. And I always like saying like this, like in terms of like, let's just say boxing, right? Like think about the greatest boxers of all time, right? Like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, right? Like these guys, you didn't see them jump around and do something like spinning weird moves inside the boxing ring. Like, no, they had their knockout shots, but it was all set up by the basics, right? Like, think about it, right? We have your jab, right? We have your cross, but sometimes they might, I don't know, throw a jab cross just to get that person's hands going up and then hit him with a liver shot, right? Just to get them hands to drop and then come over top with like a right hook and then boom. So that right hook was that knockout shot. But you can see that it was the fundamentals, right? That jab, that cross, right? That liver shot that kind of set things up, right? For them to get that knockout. And that's what I want to teach you guys, right? In today's episode, the fundamentals to fat loss. Because I'll be honest with you guys, there's been way too many people applying for coaching and you guys all sound the same. Now, unfortunately, right? It sucks because you guys have tried and spent a lot of times focusing on, keto or focusing on fasting or just cardio or whatever the case may be, right? Thinking that's going to fix the issue. A lot of you guys that have been applying for coaching have not only just tried it, one time, but tried it multiple times. And I was like saying it like this, like Albert Einstein said it best, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So if it didn't work the first time, right, stop trying to say like, oh, it didn't work the first time because, I was traveling, or it didn't work the first time because I wasn't disciplined enough. Odds are it didn't work the first time just because it wasn't sustainable, right? Let's just say it how it is, okay? So let's talk about what is sustainable, right? What is something that can help you on your fat loss journey long term? We always like saying it like this, right? Normally guys get signed up for coaching. It's typically 12 weeks, right? Plus your, 2 to 3 weeks of what's called prep weeks. And then 12 weeks after that of coaching, right? 12-week transformation program. Now, some guys, they get a 16-week transformation program. Other guys, they get, 6 months. It's kind of depending on what it is that they want. But typically, right, inside of this 12-week transformation program, we go over the fundamentals. All right. And I'm going to share with you guys exactly the fundamentals and how I coach my clients in today's episode. Okay. So for starters, what are the fundamentals and why are they so important? Well, I was talking about keto a little bit, cut out carbs. Let's just go back to that since it's relevant. So the fundamentals, right? Something that's sustainable, something that's long-term, right? Because that's what we're here to, help you guys with, long-term results, sustainability. Well, anybody can cut out carbs for a few weeks, maybe a few months. I did it. Shoot, I did keto for like 8 months straight. Like legit keto, tracking macros, checking my ketones, everything like that. And I got shredded. But I hated life and it wasn't sustainable. I miss my donuts, right? Like I need to have my donuts. That's just my thing. And so I'll give you guys a little story. Okay, and this is going to go right into the 7 fundamentals, right? The 7 fat loss habits, right, for longevity. And this is exactly how we coach our clients. Here's the story, right? So here's Sean. Sean applies for coaching, okay? Now, Sean has struggled, right, with keto, with Noom, with Weight Watchers, and also doing, I think, Beachbody or Insanity, one of those things, right? And so he struggled. Because every time he would do these set things, he would always see short-term results. As in like lose the first 15, 20 pounds. Life is great. But then eventually he hit this kind of like plateau. And he would still try to like push through. But eventually he would just go back to his old ways. What he was just doing just wasn't helping him. And it was getting to a point where he was discouraged, like constantly hitting this plateau with his health and fitness goals. And he realized like, I'm just, going to go back to my old ways because I was too strict, right? And keto cut out carbs, fasting, obviously, you're in this time frame where you can't eat, your fasting window. And then obviously with the other things, right? Like P90X, Insanity, or whatever he did, that's like their high intensity, which could be exhausting on the body. So Sean kept on trying over and over again to lose body fat. Now, his friend actually completed my 12-week transformation program. His friend actually lost 35 pounds inside of its 12-week transformation program, which is incredible. Down 35 pounds in 90 days, that's awesome. So Sean hears about this. Sean contacts his friend Chris and was like, hey, Chris, right? Like, I keep on seeing this Coach Joe's Facebook ad. What's the deal, right? Like, I know you did his program. Like, what's the deal? And all Chris was saying was like, dude, just give Joe a call. That's it. Just give him a call. So Sean did. Me and Sean talked about everything. And we basically broke down on our discovery call a game plan. If you guys don't know what a discovery call is, it's a one-on-one consultation between me or somebody on my team where we're going through, like, what is your current life like now? Occupation, eating habits, training routine, passing current injuries, everything. What is that like now? Because if we can figure out what it is like now, guess what? We can see if we can help you out by making a few small adjustments. Maybe you just need to eat more protein. Maybe you just need to walk a little bit more. Something like that, right? And then hold you accountable to that. Because guess what? That's going to be sustainable. You didn't hear me say cut out your carbs and not eat anything or just run a whole bunch of miles. Like, no, we want to look for sustainability, right? Habits. So with Sean on our call, we're just kind of figuring out a few of these. And at the end of the call, it was the funniest thing, right? Because Sean says, okay, Joe, so I'm going to pay you this money and you're going to make sure that I'm just walking more, drinking more water, and eating properly? And I said, absolutely. And I said, Sean, not only that, but I bet you anything, in the next 12 weeks, you're going to lose a whole bunch of weight. And then in the next 12 months, you're going to continue to lose weight. And in the next 12 years, which obviously it hasn't been 12 years, but you're going to still, right, have those habits. And he's like, why? How do you know that for a fact? And I said, Sean, did you brush your teeth today? And Sean said, yes. I said, did anybody have to remind you? He said, no. And I said, why did you brush your teeth? Like, why did you just not brush your teeth? Like, why did you brush your teeth? Why did you brush your teeth yesterday? Why did you brush your teeth today? He said, it's part of my routine, part of my habit. I don't want to have bad breath. I don't want to have, maybe cavities, whatever the case may be. I said, Sean, it sounds pretty easy, right? And for a fact, like, there's some consequences negatively if you don't brush your teeth. So why don't we teach you something that's easy that you can easily do in terms of your health and fitness journey? That way it's kind of like brush your teeth. You can then do it, long term, right? No one's going to be holding you accountable to brush your teeth, right? So why is anybody going to be holding you accountable to focus on a step goal or a protein goal or a water intake goal? Something easy, And so what happened was, during the course of Sean's 12-week transformation program, he lost 50 pounds of fat. Now, here's the thing. Sean was eating fast food every day. Sean was walking every day. Sean was doing, I think, maybe 2 or 3. I don't remember when he first got started. It's been a minute. I want to say 2 workouts per week. It was weird schedule, like Tuesdays and Sundays. Just body weight workouts right at his apartment. It was like 25 minutes long. That's it. That's all we got started. And he's on cruise control. And then eventually we branched off to 3 workouts a week. And that's where he kind of found his sweet spot. And so, week over week, as we're doing our weekly check-ins with him, we're educating him. Hey, Sean, we know that you're going to Taco Bell. Order X, Y, and Z instead of ordering what you have been before in the past. Sean, we see you going to Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. Look for these options, right? And over time, that became like his new thing. Hey, if I'm going to Starbucks, I know I'm going to order these options. If I'm going to Chipotle, I'm going to order these options. If I'm going to Taco Bell, I'm going to order these options. So now instead of this big, huge menu of, what to eat, and let's say if he's hungry, right, then he's going with whatever tastes good, right? Eyes are bigger than the stomach type deal. No, he knows to stay in his lane. We held him accountable to doing that to where it became a habit. Same thing with just drinking water. right? Sean, make sure that when you wake up, you're filling your jug of water first thing in the morning. And before you go to sleep, you're drinking all the water. Sean, we also want to make sure, because you sit around a lot. You're very sedentary there at work, Sean worked behind a computer all day. So we said, Sean, we want to start off small with you. Just 5,000 steps a day. Because right now, you're probably getting about 2,000. So if we can double that, you're probably going to start seeing some good results. So we did, right? And then eventually, right, built up this habit to got to 6,000 steps. And then 7, and then 8, and then 10, And then over time, right, started working on some other habits with him. His stress, his sleep, which is something that was hard to do. But guess what? We had to give him some tools, some techniques to help him with that because he needed better sleep and to aid in recovery and to aid into fat loss, And that's it, guys. Give him a protein goal. The man loses 50 pounds in 90 days. Think about that. You know how easy that is to do? If someone's going to be teaching you about how to eat out where you're already eating out, just eating things a little bit different, but still things that you enjoy to eat, making sure that you're drinking water, hitting your protein goal, doing some workouts, walking some more. Sounds pretty easy, right? Sounds pretty sustainable. Guys, these are some of the fundamentals when it comes to fat loss, okay? You didn't hear me say anything about cutting out carbs, huge calorie restrictions, nonstop intense workouts. No. We need to look at that individual's lifestyle, that individual's body type, and most importantly, their goals. Are they in alignment? Because let's say if Sean wants to look like, I don't know, The Rock, right? Six-pack abs, big bulging muscles, whatever the case may be. Well, guess what? That means The Rock, if you ever watch his stuff, the dude's working out sometimes twice a week, right? Waking up at 4 a.m. He's also eating 8 meals a day. At the end of the day, Sean couldn't do that, right? Sean can't eat when he's at work. He can have little snacks here and there, but other than that, he's got to be at work. Sean can't wake up at 4 a.m. to go smash a leg day like The Rock, right? He just needed something quick because obviously, he's with his kids at home and his wife and everything like that. He needed something that he can do for his lifestyle. And because we were able to create something to best suit his lifestyle, he was able to lose 50 pounds in 90 days. That's it, right? That's it. So, recapping here, what are the fundamentals for success in fat loss? I'm just going to give you guys the secret, all right? Now, at Heartletics.com, we have a free fat loss guide that you can download. There's some really good information that goes in a little bit more in details about these 7 essential fat loss habits or fundamentals, if you want to call it that. Also, at Heartletics.com, there is a free coaching fat loss video. Literally, it's going to explain how to incorporate, right? All these fundamentals specifically into your lifestyle. Because what you're going to hear from me, what I'm about to tell you, it's going to be very broad. So that video is going to go into more specifics, okay? Because at the end of the day, I don't know who's watching this video or listening to this podcast. So I can't say, hey, your protein goal should be X amount. You should be doing X amount for steps. This should be you in the gym. I don't know that information unless obviously you apply for coaching and I get to learn a little bit more about you. So take it for what it is. But here are, right? And for the past 6 years of coaching thousands of guys, we have never switched up the formula for success because it works, plain and simple. I know plenty of guys that do intermittent fasting just because it's so easy for them as a coach to say, hey, this guy just needs a calorie deficit. Let's just cut out his calories by making him not eat breakfast, But there's no knowledge behind it. There's no guidance. There's no actually proper truth to say hey, here's why you're doing it. It's a big difference. So here are the 7 essential fat loss habits for longevity. Remember, guys, these are your basic fundamentals to fat loss. Number 1, calorie intake. Not just any calorie intake, specifically, right? Your calorie intake for your fat loss goals. What comes out of calories, I'll put it to you like this, right? So if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a coffee mug here. Got some good old coffee, protein coffee. And I have a glass of water, okay? So both cups, they're about half full, but there's about a little bit more water, okay, inside this, just in case you guys are listening to this podcast. And let's say with this water, right, I'm dumping it into the coffee cup, which, the coffee cup, once again, it's half full. So just take your right hand and put it just like this. Now, if you're going to take your opposite hand, your left hand, and pretend like you're dumping it in over top of your right hand, okay, that right hand is then going to elevate and rise, okay? So think about that, like this threshold before that water spills out of the coffee cup. Think about that as like your threshold when it comes to your calories, okay? You don't want to go over your calories because you don't want to, spill over the cup. When you spill over the cup, you start storing body fat. It's that simple. That's how easy we make it understandable. Now, here's the thing, vice versa. And this is why we're not a big fan of like cutting out carbs or intermittent fasting or very low calorie restriction diets. If your body's not getting proper nutrients or enough of the proper nutrients, think about that, that right hand lever that you have, right, with the water. So if you're not pouring anything in, you're just taking water out, eventually, right, there's not going to be anything inside that coffee mug. There's not going to be no liquids. Well, at the end of the day, when there's nothing inside of there, that's when problems happen. And so when you're not feeding your body enough of the calories that it should be for burning body fat, or it's at its, maintenance for, let's say, just a body recomposition, or if you're trying to put on some more muscle mass, right? Whatever the case may be, if it's not getting fed enough, you're not going to be losing body fat. You're going to be losing weight. And that is going to drastically slow down your metabolic rate, your metabolism, because your body's losing its muscle. It's that simple. Why do you think, like, when you're really old, like, these guys, like, they're weak, they're tired, if they fall down instantly, like, things break, like maybe their hips or their knees, they're very fragile. And it's because, like, as we progress, as we get older, our metabolism slow down. Like, we're not needing enough of the food anymore to survive. So don't shoot yourself in the foot now by simply not eating, people. Food equals fuel. We always say this. In order to get a car from point A to point B, you got to put gas in the tank. It's the same thing with your health and fitness goals. If you're trying to burn body fat or build muscle or whatever the case may be, you got to make sure that you're treating food like fuel. You got to make sure you're eating properly. So that's number one. The second fat loss habit or fundamental, right, for success is macronutrients. So within those calories, right, if you ever look on the back of like a nutritional label, if you buy something at the store, there's going to be fats, carbs, proteins. Add all those up, that equals your total calories. So within those, right, those fats, those carbs, those proteins, we're educating our clients on eating more protein. And a big tip that I can give for you guys is trying your best, make it a non-negotiable, eating at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Why? Well, one, it's higher up on the thermic effect of food. So the more fat, the more protein that you're eating, it's going to obviously make your body burn it down, because when it's higher up on the thermic effect of food, think about that being more energy for your body to break down the proteins compared to carbs, compared to fats. So now the more protein, the more fat loss. There's so many other benefits to having more protein with, like, just overall just building muscle, burning body fat. So eat more protein. Plus, if you're in, let's say, a low calorie range, having more protein is more satiating, so it's going to make you feel fuller longer. It's never fun dieting and you're hungry all the time, right? So when it comes down to protein, you make it simple, right? Your fat loss macronutrients, just worry about hitting your protein goal. At least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, focus on trying your best each and every day to have at least 200 grams of protein. If you're over 300 pounds, right, I don't recommend that. I recommend taking your goal weight and then eating that in 1 gram of protein, right, per pound. So if, let's say, you're 300 pounds and you want to get down to 220, try your best to have at least 220 grams of protein in a day, okay? So that's number 2 of the fundamentals of fat loss. Number 3 is your strength training routine. Sean was working out at home. It worked great for him. Body weight exercises right there in his apartment. Guess what? You don't need to go to a gym to burn body fat. You don't need equipment to burn body fat. What you need is a routine that's going to help you train each muscle group effectively and knowing how to do that weekly. Plain and simple. Number 4 is going to be your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We coach a lot of guys in their 40s to 60s. Bad backs, bad knees, You'll never hear us say you need to do cardio. You'll never hear us say like, hey, you got to go, for a run or sprints, anything like that. Because we know for a fact like these guys can't really do that. Nor is it enjoyable. Once again, if you don't enjoy doing something, you can't do it long term. It's not going to be sustainable. So just like with Sean, we worked with him week over week, right, and progressing a step goal, right, until he was able to get to successfully 10,000 steps a day and create that as a habit. Continue to do that. Pretty standard, pretty simple. Once again, these are the fundamentals, guys. This is not trying to be rocket science at all with your fat loss journey. Plain and simple. 5 is your hydration. You heard me talk to, and say about Sean drinking a gallon of water a day, filling up that jug first thing in the morning. Like, your body needs more water. Plus, it's going to make you feel fuller longer too. Half the time you're probably not hungry. You're just thirsty. Your mind's just playing tricks on you. And second, the more water that you're drinking, odds are you're going to get, getting up more and walking to the bathroom. So now you're going to get more steps in. So it's a win-win. Number 6 is your stress management. And lastly, number 7 is your recovery, or maybe your sleep. Right? These are the 7 essential fat loss habits for success. The fundamentals, guys, the basics to fat loss. I promise you this. If you just start incorporating some of these into your lifestyle, your life will change dramatically. Plain and simple. You just have to understand. It doesn't have to be hard, right? Have that mindset shift that, hey, it could actually be easy, and I bet you anything, as long as you're consistent with it, it will be. If you guys want any more tips and tricks on how to not only, become the best version of yourself physically, but also mentally as well, go visit Heartletics.com. I got a free fat loss guide, a free fat loss video training, and I promise you anything, if you just start implementing some of these key things, your life will change, and I bet you anything, you'll probably start getting a lot more better results than how you already been doing now. With that being said, I look forward to talking to you guys in the next episode. And as always, peace out, Girl Scout.